Greetings, ghouly spookonauts. This evening, I got a very spooky trip report for you. Now, DMT is not generally known as the spooky psychedelic, but sometimes the trips can prove to be quite disturbing. The trip report I'm about to share with you took place in 2019, and while most DMT trip reports are filled with bright visual colors and astounding opalescent beauty, trip reports such as this one prove that DMT can have the potential to have a darker side. This trip report is called Nightmare Horror Rollercoaster by Cosmic Guardian. Now that the vibe is set, let's do this. I got off work at around 8 p.m. and headed over to my friend's house, where we decided to try snorting some DMT, because we had read that the trip lasts longer and is more mellow. I had already vaporized DMT numerous times and broken through or blasted off many times. Mostly positive experiences, with one trip that was terrifying, but not as specific as what I would encounter this night. And I wanted a different experience, so we went for it. And man, I can tell you that it was not at all worth it. The burn and nasal drip was so relentless that it felt as though I had snorted hot sauce. It would just not go away. My friend and I got some very mild visuals while looking at tapestry on his wall. But overall, we're disappointed with the experience and went out for a walk and a cigarette. I can safely say I'll never try that method of ingesting DMT again. Upset with the outcome of snorting DMT, after about 40 minutes or so, we decided to just vaporize it the way we always had. I loaded up a normal amount for a lighter breakthrough, 40 to 60 mg. Heated up my nail and set some mood lighting in my friend's room. I went into the DMT realm that I've been familiar with for some time now due to previous experiences. I closed my eyes and saw a dark brown tree with female elf characters posing around it. Vines entangled them with the trunk like a painting or tapestry. The elves were facing away from the tree, which seemed to be breathing and moving in some way. These characters slowly started to move towards me and around the DMT space that my consciousness was fully occupying. They began to transform into jester-like characters, dancing and laughing and getting close to me. Several times I thought they were people that I knew, everyone I knew and loved. Then my friend, somehow unbeknownst to me, was able to stand up and let his dog into the room. At this point, I couldn't move and have no idea how he accomplished this. When this happened, his dog jumped onto the bed and started to try to play with us. To me, this felt like a million of these jester-like creatures all pouring into the room at once, dancing with each other and welcoming me. The light from the hallway was like a flood of feelings of excitement and anxiety, and with all of these jesters dancing around, became a bit overwhelming. So I opened my eyes. Upon opening my eyes, I realized that I was still lying on my friend's bed, and looked at the tapestry in front of us that we looked at in our previous painful and unsuccessful trip. It was a multicolored assortment of mandalas, with black circles at the center. It made me feel uneasy, so I closed my eyes again to be greeted by the elves. Only this time, they weren't happy to see me. They were contorted and all began moving towards me slowly. I looked away into what felt like the bottom right corner of whatever realm I was experiencing, and saw one elf, naked, cold, and shivering in the void. He was squatting in the dark all alone and looked back over his shoulder at me with demonic eyes. I looked away, horrified, only to find that all of the other elves now resembled this lone one. They got into my face and bared their sharp teeth at me. At this point, it was clear that they were demons who were not happy that I was in their realm, rather than sprightly jesters that were happy to see me. They began to remind me of every bad thing that I have ever done, witnessed or thought in my entire life, all at once. Even things that I didn't know or forgot that happened. My subconscious was being dumped out into my immediate consciousness, and I was not ready for it. It was too much to take in, and I felt as if the world was dropping out beneath me. I didn't want to live. They continued reminding me over and over in their language of emotion just how hopeless, futile, and distraught the human race, and even more specifically I, was. That there was no point in any of this. That everything is, always has been, and always will be rot and decay. This terrified and depressed me so immensely that I wanted anything but it. Anything, please, anything but this, I pleaded to the universe. But it wouldn't matter, because this was all that was. All that has been, and all that ever would be. There was no escaping this horrific truth that lies deep inside of us. Or at least, that's not how I felt in the moment. I didn't want to live. I didn't want to die, and I didn't know what to do. I opened my eyes to try to escape this hellish, demon-filled nightmare realm, only to find that the mandala in front of me and the cold, lonely reality was just as bad. I felt that nothing was okay, ever had been, or ever would be again. I tried to tell myself that it was only the DMT that I had taken, but this didn't help. I closed my eyes again to just wait for the trip to pass, not knowing how much time had elapsed since my ingestion of the DMT. When I closed my eyes this time, I saw a floating skull. Only it wasn't a human skull. It was deformed with an elongated and warped cranium and crooked, sharp, and unevenly sized teeth. It was writhing with millions of microscopic maggots. It had a horrific, off-white bat-like wings with many small tears in them, and seemed to flash and move continuously like a very fast strobe light. I opened my eyes again, trying to escape, and actually got some momentary relief from all of the horror. Stupidly, I then closed them again, hoping to return to a positive DMT space, only to see the same flying, maggot-writhing, deformed skull in a greater detail. This one was too much, and I can't even try to, nor do I necessarily want to, try to explain it. So I opened my eyes and left them open, staring at the mandala in front of me in terror. I sat next to my friend, eyes wide with horror, without saying a word, for what felt like at least 5 or 10 minutes. Eventually, we went downstairs and outside for a cigarette, and he asked if I was okay, but I couldn't bring myself to even talk about what I had just experienced for a solid 15 to 20 minutes. I was slowly able to climb back into reality, but man, was that a horrible, terrifying experience. This was experienced July 10th, 2019. Well, that was creepy, wasn't it? Like this experiencer was saying, often these elves are jester-like and friendly, but they hold the potential to become hostile. Now, our brain interprets what's happening in the DMT experience as elves welcoming or not welcoming us into their realm, when really this realm is a state of mind, and the elves' attitude towards you really has a lot to do with external factors. And I feel like this trip report is a good example of that. First, we had this person trying to snort DMT and it not feeling very good at all. It set the stage for unpleasantness. Then we have his friend opening the door to let his dog in to play with them, which is massively disrupting to anybody's trip experience. If you have a chill cat or a chill dog that won't jump up on you, fine, but if you know that your pet will want to interact with you, it's probably not a good idea to have them around DMT. And again, this is a great example because this is where the trip turns south. It started to become overwhelming at this point, and then this person looked at a tapestry already associated with a bad time. That creates bad feelings and bad memories, and because DMT is already very intense, this created a cascade of negative feelings and dark imagery. And those are the ingredients for a very spooky and terrifying DMT experience. Well, I hope you enjoyed this evening's trip report. Please subscribe as I am working on new archetype videos and actual content that isn't just me reading online trip reports. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment Lone Elf if you really liked this video. If you didn't like this video, say Strobe Skull. I would like to thank the interbeings over at Patreon for making these trip reports and all my videos possible. Trip safe, everyone.